Hello everyone, welcome to today's live stream. So, it is currently 4:29 a.m. for me in the UK. Yeah, I'm actually awake for the rocket launch. So yeah, this is going to be for Crew 6, heading off to the International Space Station. So, yeah, I've got the heater on because as I've just checked my temperature gauge, was showing 4 degrees, but currently I've now got it to 13 degrees in here, so the heater is on. So we are on minus 1 hour 5 minutes. There you go. So yeah, we are just going to sit back, have a chill stream. I might pop back out and get some food in a second, although actually I do just fancy snacking. Yeah, we're just going to snack. I'm just going to raid my snack drawer. But let me chuck their sound on, and yeah, we'll get on with this. There we go. Right. Let's chuck that there.
We are 1 hour and 4 minutes and counting until liftoff. This day is a continuation of regular flights to the space station, U.S. soil. Crew 6 mission will be the company's 6th crewed spaceflight.
Oh, right, I'm just going to turn my microphone down while I open this packet.
Following the crewed test flight Demo 2 and 4 previous operational crewed missions to the space station, will also be SpaceX's 8th crewed spaceflight overall, including the private orbital mission Inspiration 4. Today our crew is flying on board Dragon Endeavour, and this will be the 4th flight for this capsule. We'll be taking a ride on a brand new Falcon 9 rocket. The Dragon is this particular Dragon, Endeavour, is the flight leader in the fleet.
Yeah, it's got quite a few flights. 4 flights.
This includes Demo 2, Axiom 1.
Oh,
it's been a great countdown so far. 1 hour and 3 minutes and counting. Weather is fantastic here at the Kennedy Space Center. Only a 5% chance of violation. That means 95% go.
95% go.
By my fellow astronaut here. Really advanced stuff.
Avoid math in public.
That's a good idea. Excitement is picking up though as we get closer to T0.
So my breakfast today is chocolate chip cookies.
Go ahead.
Brilliant.
About an hour to go until liftoff. Things are going to start picking up. We get close to the go, no-go pole to arm the launch escape system and begin the propellant loading. The crew pole for readiness, that will happen right at T-minus 60 minutes. And then the Dragon pole for prop load is at T-minus 55 minutes. From there, at T-minus 45 minutes, there will be an internal mission control Hawthorne pole, and then the launch director's pole for propellant loading will follow. When we get to about T-minus 40 minutes, the crew access arm will retract.
Nice.
And the crew will get the call to close their visors and to arm the launch escape system. I'll walk you all the way through it. This is the automated safety system that's in place that can fire the 8 Super Draco thrusters on Dragon to quickly separate the crew from the rocket, either on the pad or during the flight on the ride uphill. And then, once we reach about T-minus 35 minutes, propellant loading from the Falcon 9 will begin.
Nice. Oh, these are actually quite hard because it's quite cold. Actually hurt my teeth. I can't believe I've actually got up at 4, what was it, 10 past 4 in the morning to come out here and do a live stream. That is mental. I have work in 9 o'clock.
Thanks for tuning in.
So I got ages yet.
NASA and SpaceX's 6th rotational flight of astronauts and 1 cosmonaut to the International Space Station. We are T-minus 1 hour and counting until liftoff. And with us today is NASA astronaut Raja Chari. Raja, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, glad to be back. Hopefully to see my first launch.
Indeed. If you didn't know, Raja is getting ready to witness his first launch. He rode on a rocket as we turn the corner from the vehicle assembly building to show off the launch pad just beyond it. Oh, this is a great shot.
The big reveal. Look at that.
It certainly is.
Cool.
There
That
it
is quite a
Launch
cool shot.
Complex 39A, holding for a 12:34 a.m. Eastern Time liftoff.
Yeah, and so right now the crew is going through kind of mentally, you know, probably looking forward to the prop.
Oh, look how gorgeous that looks.
Orbit tank isolation valves to equalize low flow pressure.
Nice.
SpaceX Dragon copies for Washington.
It's so cold, my eyes are
So
watering.
give them that call. So a lot of times whenever they're going to do something with any prop loading or valves, they'll give the crew a heads up. So if they hear
Nice.
the sound,
Yeah.
feel the vibration, that they know that that's
Because
planned.
that's the thing, yeah,
So they
these
can
guys
keep them
sat in the
fire.
capsule.
You mentioned that it's about to get
They
a lot
will
busier
fill
around the loose as
everything.
They start going through some go no go polls and talking to the crew. And so they are looking ahead in what's called the event details, and they have probably two displays up, one that's event details, one that's in procedure 4.100. They're sitting in 4.100 waiting for the poll to say that they can arm the LES, the launch escape system. And on the timeline, they're probably looking at what the prop loading steps are and just kind of anticipating what's coming up next, probably scrolling ahead to kind of talk through the launch sequence and using this time to basically what we call chair fly, talk through.
Dragon SpaceX, you are go for section 5. When ready, report go for launch.
Nice.
Alright, picking up Sector 5, preparation for LES arming.
I can't believe their live stream's
Alright.
been going for like
Great insight
Hours
into
now.
what's happening in Crew Dragon right now, but we want to recap the last 3 hours. Our crew of Stephen Bowen,
3 hours.
Woody Hoberg, Sultan Al-Nayati, and Andrei Fedyaev have been getting ready to launch into space after waking up and having a meal. SpaceX helped the astronauts into their suits, and then you see them here, walking out the historic crew quarters,
Look at all the
walking
patches
the same
everywhere.
path that every NASA astronaut has done since Apollo 7, waving to family and loved ones as well as to the cameras there to document their journey. Then you see them here, inside their Teslas, joined in a caravan as they went down the road, led by Center Security.
Did they do the lean?
So
They did the
arrived here
lean.
at Launch Complex 39A. They did the rocket recline, went up the tower, and walked down the crew access arm here. Woody Hoberg and Stephen Bowen
Ah,
crawling into crew
dropped a
Dragon.
chocolate chip. No.
And then
you
once
go, look.
inside, they got
Look at
strapped
them.
in, got their suits checked, comm checked, and now we
Oh, look at Starship Tower in the background.
Dragon spacecraft sits on
It's,
top of the
it's
Falcon
going to be
9 rocket,
mad. I
getting
cannot
ready
wait
for
to go
fueling
back to
and
Florida.
arming of the launch escape system. At this time, we are expanding our coverage and would like to welcome SpaceX and NASA commentators who are joining us live from Hawthorne, California. Welcome to you both.
Yes,
Hey, thank you
Jesse.
so much, Daryl, and hello to everybody watching around the world. I'm Gary Jordan with NASA's Communications.
And I'm Jesse Anderson, a production and engineering manager here at SpaceX. Gary and I are joining you today from our headquarters in Hawthorne, California. While Crew 6 marks SpaceX's 6th
Hey,
operational
this
mission
guy's
for
on the
NASA,
phone.
it's actually our 8th human spaceflight mission to the International Space Station and overall 34th Dragon mission to the orbiting laboratory. And the Dragon supporting tonight's mission will be making its 4th visit to the station, having previously supported Demo 2, Crew 2, and Axiom Mission 1.
And speaking of Demo 2, the spacecraft was named Dragon Endeavour by Bob and Doug during its inaugural flight in May of 2020. And yet another fun fact.
Yeah, they get
tonight's
to
launch
fly it,
marks our
get to
4-year
name it.
anniversary of the Demo 1 mission, which
Wow.
launched on the same day, just a couple of hours later than we're launching today, which served as an end-to-end test flight of
I remember
Dragon's
watching that
capabilities.
thinking,
Since Crew 1 in
oh my
November of
God.
2020, SpaceX has
There
been
was no
regularly flying
problems.
commercial
Oh.
crew missions for NASA to and from the International Space Station at an average cadence of about 1 flight every 6 months.
It took a lot of love and dedication to get here today, and we are still learning and innovating from every launch. From the beginning,
Damn.
Dragon was designed to eventually fly people to help further our ultimate goal of making life multiplanetary. The Dragon hanging from the ceiling behind us was initially flown to certify SpaceX for cargo missions to the space station over 10
Yeah, that was
years ago, back in
CRS-1.
2010.
Wow.
But it included a window because the vehicle had been designed from the beginning to fly crew. We always knew that this was the direction that we wanted to go in. As we continue the countdown to liftoff, we'd like to welcome you to SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne. This is where our teams are staffed around the clock to monitor Dragon and
I'm
the
trying
mission
to think,
overall.
what has
On
that
console
guy
or
got?
headset in Mission Control
He's
are
not got a
60
laptop.
positions.
Is it
The mission
Surface?
director is in charge
or is it
of
an
the room,
iPad?
tasked with making real-time decisions to ensure mission success. The person that you may hear talking to the astronauts is the Crew Operations and Resources Engineer, who you'll hear us refer to as the core throughout the broadcast. And the 4 additional team
Nice.
members are focused on vehicle systems, including
It's slowly
avionics,
getting warmer in
navigation
here.
and control,
It's
software,
now
propulsion, life support, and communication
14
with ground
degrees,
support teams.
so
Apart from
almost
Mission
60 degrees
Control, our
Fahrenheit for the
Falcon 9
Americans.
team is currently located in Firing Room 4 in the Launch Control Center at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Now, with less than an hour until launch, they are settling in for final checkouts, propellant loading, and for launch.
And then, of
Nice.
course, NASA has its own team members at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston, Texas, who have been preparing the space station for Dragon's arrival. And they recently gave their go for launch, saying that the station is ready to receive the new crew. Upon liftoff, today's ride to the space station will take about 24 and a half hours, with Dragon flying autonomously the entire way. And just like autopilot on a commercial aircraft, the crew always has the ability to take manual control of the spacecraft if needed.
Now, at under T-minus 55 minutes, we are looking good for an on-time liftoff, and our very own incredible Kate Tice has been monitoring the progress of the countdown. How's it going so far, Kate?
Thanks, Jesse. I'm Kate Tice, SpaceX Quality Systems Engineering Manager, bringing you vehicle status updates this evening. It's been a pretty smooth countdown so far. The Crew 6 astronauts wrapped up ingress at T-minus 2 hours and 34 minutes. Since then, the teams completed the required comm checks, suit leak checks, and side hatch closure, as well as side hatch leak check. The closeout team has departed the BDA, and the pad is clear. Now, as for Falcon 9, our 2-stage reusable rocket that you see there on your screen, final propulsion checkouts of first and second stages began a few minutes ago in preparation for propellant loading. This involves testing valves and engine pneumatic pressurization. Now, as you might be able to guess from the lack of re-entry soot on Falcon 9's first stage,
It's a brand new
which is
booster.
the lower 2/3 of the vehicle there, that booster will be flying for the first time tonight. Now, at T-minus 45 minutes, less than 10 minutes from now, the team will report their readiness for prop load with a final electronic go, no-go poll. Before we can begin propellant loading on Falcon 9, we still have a couple tasks to perform. First, the crew access arm will be moved out of its service position as you see it in now, and it will rotate away from the Dragon capsule and over to its launch position. That will happen between T-minus 44 and 42 minutes, almost immediately after the T-minus 45-minute launch director's briefing. With the access arm out of the way, the launch escape system will then be armed. Once those 2 events are complete, Dragon will be ready for Falcon propellant loading. As for weather, we will also verify with the launch weather officer that all of
Nice.
the weather conditions meet our launch
Oh,
constraints.
look at that. Look how
Those include
gorgeous that
items
is.
Such as wind speed, lightning, and
If I was at my
precipitation in the
hotel,
area
I would be able to
surrounding
watch
pad
this.
39A. But tonight, we're expecting acceptable weather conditions for launch, both at surface level and upper altitudes. Once again, our probability of violation of those conditions is only 5%, so looking good. The range is currently clear for launch. A worldwide network of ground stations and tracking and data relay satellites, or TDRS,
About
are
5
ready to
miles up
support,
the road
and
from
those are
me,
what help us get
there's
live
actually a
views and
tracking
data as
station.
Dragon heads into orbit.
So
Today
they
we have an
actually might
instantaneous
connect to
launch
them
window
today.
at 12:34 a.m. Eastern. As I've said before, once we begin propellant load, there is no opportunity to change the T0. The timing for Dragon to rendezvous with the International Space Station is down to the exact second. So today we only get one
Yeah,
chance.
it's mad.
But the good news, at T-minus 51 minutes and 32 seconds, we are go for launch.
We are go for launch. That's good.
Great news, thanks, Kate. Today's launch marks the 6th time a rotational crew will fly on a commercial spacecraft. And much like our previous crews, today's crew has been training with our teams at SpaceX for the last several months, running nominal and emergency simulations of what the full mission will look like while seated inside of Dragon. And as with every mission, each one of our crew members brings a diverse set of experience to today's flight.
That's right, and let's start with
Do you know,
the mission
as much as it would be
commander,
bad,
Steve Bowen,
I
was
really
born
would
in
like to see a
Cohasset,
crew abort.
Massachusetts. He holds a bachelor's
I just
degree
think
in
the
electrical
crew
engineering
abort
from the
was
US
so
Naval
cool,
Academy, and a master's in
you know.
ocean engineering from the Joint Program in Applied Ocean Science and Engineering at MIT and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution.
Damn.
July 2000, Boeing became the first submarine officer selected as an astronaut by NASA. This will be Bowen's 4th trip into space as a veteran of 3 space shuttle missions, STS-126 in 2008,
Wow.
STS-132 in 2010, and STS-133 in 2011.
He's
Bowen
done quite a
has
few
logged
then.
more than 40 days in space, including 47 hours, 18 minutes during 7 spacewalks. As mission commander, he'll be responsible for all
Damn.
phases of flight aboard Dragon, from launch to re-entry.
This guy's like one of the
Warren Woody
OGs.
Hoberg is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He earned a bachelor's degree in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT and a doctorate in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. He is
Berkeley.
also a commercial
Why-
pilot with instrument, single engine,
Why
and
do I
multi-engine
recognise
ratings.
Berkeley?
The mission will be Hoberg's first flight since his selection as an astronaut in 2017. As pilot, he will be responsible for spacecraft systems and performance on Dragon.
Sultan Al Niyadi will be making his first trip to space, representing the Mohammed bin
Nice.
Rashid Space Center of the United Arab Emirates. Aboard Dragon, he'll serve as a mission specialist, working to monitor the spacecraft during the dynamic launch and re-entry phases of flight. He spent time in the UAE military prior to becoming one of the first 2 individuals selected by his country when they started their space program just a few years ago in 2017. Al Niyadi will be the first UAE astronaut to fly on a commercial spacecraft.
Nice.
Andrei Fedyayev will be making his first trip to space and will also serve as a mission specialist, monitoring the spacecraft during the dynamic launch and re-entry phases of flight. He was selected as a cosmonaut in 2012 and will be the 2nd cosmonaut to fly aboard a SpaceX Dragon. Each of these crew members will be a part of Expedition 68 upon their arrival to the International Space Station. Now let's head over to Kate Tice for another status update on the countdown. How's it going, Kate?
Thanks, Jesse. We're coming up to T-minus 48 minutes and 40 seconds. The SpaceX launch teams are finishing final review of data from all the checkouts of Falcon 9 over the last hour. The launch director has confirmed with the launch weather officer that weather meets propellant loading constraints. So up next will be to poll the team for readiness,
Nice.
to load propellant, and to launch. That will be the final poll prior to liftoff. The 7 SpaceX responsible engineers, often called REs, indicate that they are go by electronically voting on the online countdown procedure. The launch director, or
Oh,
LD,
is there no...
also checks with the Dragon mission director, MD, and the NASA launch manager to make sure they are ready. Earlier you saw the vehicle assembly building called the VAB. The
I've been
Falcon and
inside
Dragon launch
that.
team, as well as key NASA launch members, are in the launch control center adjacent to the VAB.
It's
You
mental.
can actually see where they are right now on the right-hand side of your screen. They have a view straight towards pad 39A through those large windows of firing room 4. On your screen, you see there the Dragon capsule with the crew access arm still in
And just
the service
behind it, you
position.
can see
crew
the
is
Starship
on board
Tower.
Dragon, waiting for the next instructions, which will be to stow the crew on for launch and to arm
Man.
the launch escape system. Once the launch director gives the final instructions to the launch team in that
It's a
T-minus
shame it's not
45-minute
daytime because we
briefing,
could see the tower.
immediately afterward, the crew arm sequence, the crew access arm sequence will be armed and initiated. We should get a good view of that access arm as it swings away from the capsule. That will take about 2 minutes to complete its rotation to move out of the way. The range continues to be go for launch.
Oh, that's
They
a cool
continue
shot.
to monitor the clearance area around the launch pad, as well as the air and sea space around that downward, upstream, or the flight corridor downstream from the launch pad. As we mentioned before, we have to make sure that all areas are secure. in the
Nice.
unlikely
Oh, look
event
at that.
of
That looks
an abort.
gorgeous.
There at Kennedy Space Center, the conditions are predicted to be acceptable for launch. You can, if we had daylight, you'd
Well,
be able to see that
it's
conditions
lovely
are
and
pretty
warm
calm.
there
There's,
still.
13-mile-per-hour winds from the south-southwest, so pretty mild all in all. The downrange landing zones, as I mentioned before, are also within the conditions as needed,
Nice.
if needed
It's not
for
fair.
escape. So
It is
also
0 degrees here.
downrange.
And
Now, in about a minute,
I finally
we
got the
will
place to
hear
15
the,
degrees.
Briefing from the launch director. As I mentioned before, the readiness poll that is underway
Ooh.
is the final go for propellant load and for launch.
Okay, are we going to
There on
actually
screen,
hear?
You can see the 4 crew members of Crew 6 waiting patiently to go to space. Not much for them to do at this
Yeah,
moment.
could you imagine,
but wait
like,
for that LD
you just
briefing,
sat
which
there,
will be coming up in about
leaning
35
back.
seconds.
You've got some little jobs to do, obviously, but you're sat there for so long. I think the nerves would just like kick in.
As I mentioned before, the team in mission control,
Oh,
as well as the teams in firing room 4, they are basically collectively both with NASA launch team and the Dragon launch team and the Falcon
Poll
launch
is
team.
complete, and the team is ready for crew access arm retract, propellant load, and launch.
nice.
Both control rooms are going to lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and remain in that state until the launch escape system is disarmed. All operators are remain at their console and maintain a sterile cockpit until MD confirms successful disarming of the launch escape system, following orbit insertion or propellant offload in the event of a scrub. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they'll approve aborting the countdown.
So, the reason why they scrubbed it,
Safety of the operation, operator shall call hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed into the launch abort sequence. At T-minus 10 seconds, launch control will be hands-off, relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew for movement.
yeah, so they scrubbed it yesterday because there was actually a
There we
fire
heard
just
that
over here
final
somewhere.
go for launch and prop load from
Not
launch
not
director
yesterday. Whatever day it was. So yeah, they actually. Oh,
And there we just
ow!
heard the call
There
out
was
that the
someone's
crew access
chair going
arm
backwards.
retraction is underway. So let's head back to Daryl over at Kennedy as they have a live view of that retraction as it happens, and will be the major final physical reconfiguration of the pad.
There it goes.
prior
Oh
to
wow!
launch. Daryl, how's it going?
That kind of pulls
Great,
away
Jason.
quite
Thank
quick.
you very much as we watch the crew access arm move quickly at first and then rotate away from the Dragon spacecraft. There's the view from inside the crew access arm, the white room at the very end of it. As we can see the water tower out there.
Oh yeah. Come on,
Hitting another milestone here, Raja, on our way
come on.
to liftoff.
Talk about Starship
The crew
Tower.
is
Go on.
definitely tracking through all this on a timeline. So they're procedurally in 4.100, following that SpaceX is retracting the crew arm and then starting to prepare. The next big step they'll be taking is arming the launch escape system. And then looking forward on the timeline to basically go through
Nice,
the
look at
steps for
that.
prop loading. So we talked a little bit about the first broadcast, but it's kind of a key mental note here as well. If there was an emergency pad egress, they probably have some crew coordination of who's going to get to the hatch first, but you definitely want to make sure the crew arm is back in place. So there's this period of time while the crew access arm is not there, the launch escape system
Look
is
at
not armed. So
Crew
you
I would
access arm
love
retraction.
to go to the top of that
need the
tower.
arm to swing back to the capsule before you can actually egress. You need to make sure that's there before you step out.
I wonder if they ever did
Critically
like
important.
tours, because I know like
Beautiful
I've
views
done
from
quite
our
a few of the
flight
NASA tours
operations team,
at
which
Kennedy
is
Space Center.
Not only making sure that
But I would doubt
the
they would
area
have one
around
to
the
actually go
rocket
around the
is
pad.
safe, but also giving us some spectacular views of that crew access arm as it
That does look cool.
retracted away from the rocket, and there it is again, right there.
Yeah, it's a great view where you can see both the strong back, which is the structural piece holding the rocket up there now.
Man,
and the
that's
crew access arm
gorgeous.
swung back.
Open now to the air and the atmosphere. Hopefully no
Ooh.
dragonflies that far up. And
I can hear
We
an
had our own
alarm.
Dragonflies earlier, Raj. So we're working.
We have
It's
successfully
there.
had good luck here at the launch broadcast test.
Okay.
We've
I'm
done our
guessing
part.
the alarm
Good.
is the
Exactly
crew
what
access
we
arm
can.
moving back.
There's a great view too of the trunk.
I'm
so you
guessing.
can see the side, which is the part just below the capsule.
So
that's
there's-
got the avionics radiators.
So there's that
cooling, and the
camera
left side that's
on that
black,
helicopter
and the
that we
picture
just
here is
saw.
actually the solar panels that generates the power for the capsule on orbit.
Curious. It looks like we saw a plane off there in the distance.
It's a
Could be
helicopter.
pretty well off, given it's dark at night.
That might have been the helo out there.
Yeah.
Ah, very good. Good call.
There you go.
The countdown T-minus 41
The
minutes and counting.
helo.
And,
Is that what they nicknamed?
we're heading down to a launch
So in the
time
UK we call it a heli.
12:34 a.m.
Do they call that a
Sound
halo?
Traction. That's the last
That-
major
okay, well,
visual
fair enough.
milestone as we prepare for liftoff. Shortly thereafter, we should hear the call out that the launch
Oh.
escape system is armed. And then from there, Raja, we
I'm
will
dying.
hear that F9
Literally.
prop load has
It's
started.
cold.
Yep, and timeline-wise, I'd expect probably about another minute and a half or two. They'll tell the crew to they'll tell them to go ahead and step into the arming. You'll see them putting visors down. You'll probably see them tugging at the restraint straps, just making sure everything is extra tight, making sure you saw like.
You imagine
Andre
you
before was
actually
using
get a
his,
chance to
stylus
do
to
this.
Probably edit some of the weather data.
But you
that
get a
they have on
chance
their
to
iPad.
sit there
They'll
in
stow
the
all those
capsule,
things and basically put themselves in
waiting
a
the
posture,
countdown.
where you could. You can even stow in it right now, where you could be in a posture where if
That'd
the
be so
capsule
cool.
were to initiate a launch escape, you'd be prepared for that. So from the time that is hot, you are pretty much sitting on a live set of Super Dracos that could go off automatically if the vehicle senses a malfunction once the prop loading starts, or it could be manually initiated. So you always want to be ready once that system's hot.
Well, Raja, you say it, and then we see it. Calling it out. Remember well from your time as the commander of Crew 3. No, you just came back from space. It was, what,
Oh.
May of last year?
Yep.
My throat is killing me.
Good to be back. I'd go back in a heartbeat, but it's also good to be back home. But
Oh, you're watching your friends go up.
yeah, this is it's really surreal to have friends and colleagues on the end of that rocket, and I think it just reinforces the importance you asked earlier. And the question was like, what do we do on our normal job? There's also people in our office. So
Look how
Joe,
bright them
the
lights
office
are.
Goes to the launch trainers.
They are
we use, and,
ridiculously bright.
You're signing up your friends to go ride this thing, so we take it pretty seriously, as well we should.
My throat is killing me.
You
Crew
can kinda,
strapped in.
Yep, you can see just by Andre's left leg the red of that bag. We were talking about that earlier, but you couldn't see it.
Dragon SpaceX, go for Section 6. Close visors, armed launch escape system.
Alright, we're picking up section 6 on closing the visors and launch and arming the launch escape.
Alright, so you see them reaching up to the displays. They're stepping into that section of the procedure, all verbalizing now with the visors down that the Vox settings are correct so they can hear each other.
SpaceX, Dragon, visors are closed. We're arming the launch escape system.
They have some telemetry on their display that shows them what the automatic thresholds are to make sure they're not
Nice.
violating one of those thresholds before they arm the system. We talked about that earlier tonight, to make sure you don't inadvertently initiate a launch escape. And then we also talked about the flight computer stage, so that's what they're watching to actually know. So you actually hear the thunks because those valves that isolate the Super Dracos are in the capsule, so you can actually see where that NASA worm is and where the US flag is.
Yeah, those are the engines.
Those are the
There
engines,
you go.
so they're right by your head on the inside. So when you arm it, you can actually
Nice.
hear the sound of the valves opening up, and that's what allows prop to flow to the Super Dracos in the event of a launch escape.
Can you hear the prop flow as well?
Well, hopefully you never hear that sound.
Oh, no, it doesn't bleed in the system.
No, no.
Okay. It just opens the valve.
Launch escape system is verified armed.
There's the verification of arming of the launch escape system. Right on time with our milestones as we count down.
And so for the crew, they're now closing out 4.100, which is their launch preparation procedure. And they're now stepping ahead to what's the prop loading timeline on their displays, which is going to give them times of when is the different tanks are pressurizing and loading. There's no telemetry in the Dragon that tells you what the F9 tanks
Oh,
have in them.
man,
in
my
terms of
throat is
amount of
killing me.
fuel. You can see what's in the Dragon, but not the F9.
I'm guessing
And
it's
so
just
you
'cause
rely
it's
on this
cold.
timeline and the calls
I'm guessing.
from the team to know the status, and that gives you an
Oh,
indication
man.
based on the timeline you have if things are
I'm
behind
actually
or
dying.
ahead, or on timeline.
The team on the ground.
Do you know what I'm actually going to do?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. The ground
Because I
you
haven't
can't
done
see
one
at
in
all,
ages, I'm going to take a
that's how-
COVID test after this. It's my throat. My throat is really sore. Damn.
We'll start venting.
Oh.
These would be the tanks on the ground.
Right. So as they start to, they have what's called these giant accumulators that are full of the fuel that they then pump.
Actually, do I have a COVID test in here?
To the F9. And the
no,
two things I learned on our first broadcast attempt, one is that the license plate changes every time. The second that I also learned from you is that you can tell out here how full the rocket is by looking at the level that the condensation comes off the outside of the rocket, which you...
Yep, it'll get nice and steamy.
Inside, but that's a good technique for if you're watching on the outside and don't have the benefit of having the displays the crew has or the telemetry the ground has to just get a look at binoculars if you're standing on the causeway or on TV and know how full the tank is.
Outdoor fuel gauge.
Yeah. Only if you launch in the humidity of Florida. I don't know if it'd work in the desert as well.
Well, we get to see launches out at Vandenberg, California, and it's a little drier out there. It still is on the coast. We have some humidity, but it is quite a sight.
Yes.
It's a definite pro tip.
I've said we've got.
I've been in the 5 years. No one taught me that.
Told an astronaut something new. I'm feeling proud.
But
I tell you what, you haven't learned nearly as much as I've learned in my time in these two launch attempts. So happy you can come back and count this down. We know our
I'm dying.
Astronauts all around the country are watching. Checked in with Megan McArthur.
I'm actually dying.
Had a nice little chat with her. She's watching.
God, my throat.
Other astronauts from the Corps. The astronaut corps is roughly, about 42 astronauts?
Yep, about that, yep. And then a new class called, they're named the Flies, the 2021 class.
The Flies,
that's
their name?
Halfway through their training, yep, and looking forward to, they're crushing it as you would expect.
Started.
There's the call.
Well, it is 5 a.m. Oh, man,
so at this point, all the closeout crew is not only off the tower, but outside what's called the exclusion zone or the hazard area, different words for it. Basically the radius away from the launch pad, since there's now prop flowing into the rocket.
We're going to make a poll.
Well, T-minus 34 minutes and
with
counting
the start of it
until liftoff. Today will begin the next 6-month rotation.
And it's a poll I do on every rocket launch.
As we've been documenting, we heard the launch escape system armed. Happened just before that propellant load began. Dragon capsule.
There you
it was
go.
loaded with its propellants about a week and a half ago.
So I've
just
chucked
a few
it in
miles
there.
down the road.
You guys tell me what you think.
In order to fly, Dragon needs a fuel and an oxidizer for the fuel. SpaceX uses monomethyl hydrazine, or what they call MMH, and nitrogen tetroxide, or NTO, for oxidizer.
We've
together,
got
these
2
propellants
votes
feed
already.
those Draco engines that will maneuver Dragon on orbit.
Of course.
It also feeds those 8 Super Draco engines you were talking about that would power the launch escape system in an abort scenario. And so with that fueling having begun, that means those 8 Super Draco engines inside Crew Dragon are ready. We heard, or rather Raja relayed, that the astronauts can hear those valves turning, getting that system ready to go. Should there be any kind of emergency associated with the rocket or the pad. Of course, NASA and SpaceX teams, they train extensively for exactly that type of contingency. And so with T-minus 33 minutes and counting, let's head back over to SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California for an operations update from Kate Tice. Kate?
Thanks, Daryl. I continue to follow along with the final minutes of the launch countdown, heading for on-time launch just under 33 minutes from now. Everything's still looking good for Dragon and Falcon 9. No major issues reported by the teams at this time. As we heard on the loops, the launch escape system is now armed, and Falcon 9 propellant loading began at T-minus 35 minutes. The first and second stages of Falcon 9 are each loaded with 2 liquid propellants. One is oxidizer, loaded into a tank at the top of each stage. The other, a fuel, loaded into a tank at the bottom of each stage. The fuel that we use to power the Merlin engines is RP1,
someone moving
which is
their
a refined
table.
kerosene. The oxidizer loaded on each stage is densified liquid oxygen, or LOX. Densified means it is kept much colder than typical for launch vehicles and takes up less volume, which allows for more oxidizer to be loaded into the first and second stages. And as Raja mentioned minutes ago, you can tell how full the tanks are based on how high the condensation appears on the outside of the vehicle. To ignite the fuel and oxidizer in the Merlin rocket engine, we use the ignition fluids of triethyl aluminum and triethyl boron, also called TTEB. When TTEB comes into contact with oxygen, it burns and produces a green-colored flame. Once we have the flame going, we add the kerosene fuel into the Merlin chamber and the engine ramps up to full power. You might see the green flash just as the second stage engine ignites following stage separation 2 minutes and 48 seconds into flight.
Nice.
Now, for those of you who have been following along, you'll know that we stood down from our initial launch attempt of Crew 6 on February 26th due to a TTEB ground system issue. It was determined to be the result of a clogged ground system filter that was impeding the flow of TTEB. SpaceX teams replaced the filter, purged the TTEB line with nitrogen, and verified the lines are ready for launch. Lastly, we're topping
that's
helium.
a better shot. You
we're
can
topping
see
off
the
helium into pressure
water
vessels
tank.
on both stages. That is actually
That is
used to
quite cool.
pressurize the tanks in flight as the propellant is pulled out and consumed by the Merlin engines. It's very similar to when you're drinking from a plastic
Stage 1
water bottle.
cryo-helium loading has started.
And there's that call out for that cryo-helium load I was just talking about. It's similar to drinking out of a plastic water bottle. You got to let some air back into the bottle to keep it from crumpling. Now, on board the spacecraft, the astronauts are monitoring the systems while propellants are
good way of
loaded into
explaining
the
it,
Falcon
actually.
9 below them, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. The crew's training in the simulator here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, actually included playback of sounds recorded in Dragon capsules during recent flights. So all of the sounds that they're
Nice.
hearing now, not only did they hear before in our previous launch attempt, but they heard it during the training simulations as well.
So they literally
As for
hear
the range,
like all
they
the
continue to
noises
report
in
no
training.
problems, and
That's
they
pretty
are
cool,
go to
actually.
support launch. Weather also looks great. As I mentioned before, our probability of violation for the launch constraints is only 5%, so really good on that front. As a reminder, today we have an instantaneous launch time. So at this point, if we hear a hold for any reason, we will have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity tomorrow, just under 24 hours from tonight's planned launch. At this point in time, at just under T-minus 29 and a half minutes, I'll turn it back over to
Nice.
Jesse and Gary for an overview of events that we'll see after liftoff.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. For Crew 6, the astronauts' flight to station will take about 24 and a half hours.
And as we wait for that
24.5
T0 mark
hours.
coming up in
That's
just
mad.
about 29 minutes, the ground operations teams are doing a series of system checks to make sure that both the Dragon and the Falcon 9 are ready for launch. You're going to be looking at a live view of our teams at the Cape as they prepare for liftoff. Now, as we wait for that launch clock to hit 0, we wanted to give you an overview of what the ascent portion of that mission is going to look like.
Once we hit T0 and a successful launch occurs, we will watch Falcon 9 and Dragon lift off from historic launch pad 39A and make their ascent.
At about 50 seconds into flight, Falcon 9 engines will throttle down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket,
Max Q.
or we typically refer to as Max Q. It's worth noting that once we hit that Max Q point, the vehicle will be going supersonic.
Once we are through the period of maximum dynamic pressure, we can throttle up our 9 Merlin engines again. From there, at about 2.5 minutes into flight, we have a series of 3 events that will happen in rapid succession.
First is MECO, or main engine cutoff. This is where all 9 Merlin 1D engines shut off in preparation for stage separation, which is our second event. This is where the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to Earth for landing, as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event.
Are we going on a boat
SES1,
today,
or
or
second
are
stage
we?
engine start number 1, where the MVAC engine lights up and propels the second stage, along with our Crew 6 astronauts, into orbit.
They haven't said what boat
As
they're landing on
Stage 2
today.
heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, Stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back down home on Earth. The first is the entry burn. That's where 3 of the M1D engines will reignite and then shut down again. Now, this helps to slow the stage down in preparation for entry back into the Earth's atmosphere.
And while the first stage is heading back to Earth, the second stage will cut off its 1 Merlin engine that was ignited right after stage separation. Once this happens, we'll wait for confirmation of a good orbital insertion.
About 90 seconds after Dragon gets into orbit, Falcon 9 will land back on Earth. The landing burn is just a single engine burn, but it's
Are they gonna
powerful
tell
enough
us?
to bring the vehicle's
Come on.
speed down rapidly in
What
order
drone
to
ship
land
are they
on our
landing
drone
on?
ship at about 9.5 minutes into the mission.
And while the Falcon 9 first
No.
stage is landing, Dragon is preparing to separate from the second stage. At about 3 minutes after the second stage gets into orbit, we should have a great view of Dragon with its 4-person crew drifting away from the second stage. Once
Nice.
Dragon is a short distance away, it'll begin checking out its Draco maneuvering thrusters to make sure Dragon continues to increase separation distance from the second stage. It's worth noting that these are not the Super Draco engines that would be used during an abort scenario.
About 40 seconds after separation, Dragon's nose cone deploy sequence will begin. It will take roughly 4 minutes for the nose cone hooks to unlatch and open, exposing its guidance navigation controls that will help Dragon autonomously fly to the space
It's
station.
pretty cool.
And lastly, once the nose cone is deployed, the remaining Draco thrusters on the forward bulkhead will be checked. From there, over the next 24-ish hours, Dragon will be in its rendezvous and approach phases, undergoing a number of phasing burns as it makes its way to station.
Imagine
All
how
that will be coming up
perfect all
soon,
of
but
this
for
has
now,
to be.
let's check back in with Courtney in Mission Control
Like-
Houston. Courtney.
It has to make sure it hits
Thanks,
the mark
Gary.
every
The flight
time.
controllers here in Mission Control Houston are laser focused on the onboard systems of the space station,
H2 cryo
ensuring it is
loading
ready
has
to
started.
receive Crew Dragon. They're also making sure communication links between the station, Dragon, and the ground are working properly, and the consensus to this point is that everything is proceeding right on track. Teams here in
Nice.
Mission Control Houston, the team in Hawthorne, and the astronauts aboard the space station will monitor the autonomous docking of the Dragon spacecraft on Friday. They'll perform a series of leak checks, then work to open the hatches on both the Dragon side and inside the station's pressurized mating adapter. We expect hatch opening to take place about an hour and a half after docking. Once on board, the astronauts will be greeted by the space station crew and will then join in for welcoming remarks for the new crew members. From there on out, they will no longer be referred to as Crew 6, but rather as flight engineers of the International Space Station
Yep.
until their return back to Earth. Here at Mission Control Houston, Flight Director Judd Freeling is on console
them
overseeing the
monitors.
team for launch. And that's it from here in Mission Control
God, I'm
Houston,
dying.
so I'll
My
toss it
throat
back to
is
the team
killing
in
me.
Florida. Daryl, how's it looking?
We're looking great out here, Courtney, and thank you very much as we cruise around the set here. Our production team doing a great job
Yep.
showing us all the sights and the sounds of the
it's
countdown
gorgeous.
of Crew 6. Liftoff is at 12:34 a.m. Eastern Time, and if you're just joining us, well, we're doing well. Having a great countdown, 24 minutes to go for the 6th astronaut rotation mission to the
you know
International
what, the guy
Space
speaking,
Station
he's got
under
makeup on.
NASA's Commercial Crew
You
Program.
can see he's got like
Commander
foundation
Stephen Bowen,
around like his
Pilot Woody
cheeks
Hoberg,
area.
and mission specialist Sultan Al-Niyadi and Andrei Fedyayev are strapped
I reckon
into
he
the
had like a
seats,
few
as you
spots
can
or
see
something.
them here inside Dragon
They're trying to
Endeavour.
cover him up.
The Falcon 9 rocket fueling operation well underway. The launch escape system is armed. That means Dragon is prepared to launch itself away from the Falcon 9
That's
in
mad.
case of an emergency on the pad or after liftoff.
Oh, just think they've been
So
going
far,
for what?
operations looking and sounding as we would expect.
I literally got up an hour ago.
You can see on the rocket,
It's mental. It's gone that quick.
we're filling her up. The condensation of the warm, humid Florida air down there shows you that
No, I could so be in
my
Florida
guess
right now.
would be about a third. But I have no actual telemetry to tell me that. Just going by the condensation coming off the rocket. It really super chills the skin on the outside of the rocket, and then that condenses the air in the atmosphere, the water that's in the air.
That's crazy.
And it really is something to look at once it's ready to go, all the way up and down the rocket.
And the reason they make it super cold is if there's probably, let's see, 3rd or 4th graders out there, I know that's what my kids are learning about, is like when something's really cold, it gets dense, so you can get more of it in there. So that's
Yeah,
why
you
it's
pack
important.
it in
Every
more.
drop of gas matters when you're trying to get to orbit.
We
you want as
have
much margin.
another
John was
vote
talking
saying
before
yes,
about,
it will go boom.
why
Okay.
we build the timelines we do, and
All right, well,
we always hope
let's hope
everything
the,
goes nominally, but we train for
the crew
all
is
kinds
fine.
of contingencies. And so
I mean, I would like to,
you know,
as I
we've been
said,
talking
I
about
would
launch-
like to see a
launch
crew
escapes, but
abort.
the next phase is
We haven't
rendezvous
seen
space
one
station,
since
so we
the
protect for
test
a problem with either the
of
station or the
the
capsule, and
launch
having
escape
to,
system.
back
So
away and come back again in 24
I think it would be
hours.
quite cool
And
to
so
see.
all that requires prop and gas, and the further and higher the F9 can get the Dragon, the more options we have. So that's why they chill the gas. You heard calls earlier about the cryo-helium, and like they talked about it.
It is currently now in here.
That we have enough gas to pressurize the tanks.
Almost 18 degrees centigrade, or
we'll start talking about
62 degrees.
And so you'll hear calls.
So we're getting warmer in the shed.
It's two-stage rocket, so there's fuel and oxidizer.
It doesn't help that I've got no insulation in the walls.
First stage, like they described, having the 9 engines, and the second stage having 1, but both of those have separate tanks for the fuel and oxidizer, and you'll hear them calling those out. Because again, the crew probably can't as much hear it like the same way they hear the Super Draco valves, but you can hear sort of some creaking and some noises.
That's mad.
Definitely some vibrations. So getting a call before that happens just kind of reassures them that sound is expected and gives them a reference point on the time that they're following.
We're about 37 seconds away from completing stage 2 RP1 load. In the meantime, let's tell you about the crew.
Go on, tell me about the crew.
Captain Stephen G. Bowen. He hails from Cohasset, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Children, holds the title of first U.S. Navy submarine officer to be selected as a mission specialist by NASA. Captain Bowen is also a veteran of NASA space flights, including the space shuttle flights on STS-126, 132, and 133, the only astronaut to ever go consecutive back-to-back shuttles.
Wow.
Sitting next to Stephen is pilot Warren Woody Hoberg, a 37-year-old from Pittsburgh. He studied aeronautics and astronautics from MIT before getting a doctorate in electrical engineering and a computer science degree from the University of California, Berkeley. During grad school, Hoberg worked as an EMT with the Yosemite Surgeon.
I'm still trying to figure out where I've heard things about Berkeley.
There's that load complete. Stage 2 is in the books. We'll load it up. And now you can see the venting off of that liquid oxygen.
Is it Fast and Furious?
Hoberg,
or Too Fast, Too Furious?
First flight. Since NASA selected him to be an
I'm pretty sure
Rajachari's class in 2017.
It's Paul Walker saying to the friend from the Demolition Derby, you can go back to Berkeley. Oh, I'm going to have to watch that movie now.
Father of 5, spent most of his life in Al Ain and Abu Dhabi, but in 2020 traded that in for astronaut training in Houston at NASA's Johnson Space Center. This will be his first trip to space. And it's also the first trip for second mission specialist Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev. He will be working to monitor the spacecraft during the dynamic launch and re-entry phases of flight. He will be a flight engineer for Expedition 68.
I'm actually really tired. I can feel my eyes like
just turned 42 years.
I could easily go to sleep right now.
Each of these 4 crew members will be part of Expedition 68 once they arrive at the international.
I can't eat anything any more of my cookies because my throat's killing me.
We had strong back chill that began.
I mean, it is 100% possible that I could have COVID.
And coming up in just a few minutes,
in my workplace, we've had a few staff off with COVID, so
liquid oxygen onto the second stage.
It's the only good thing about working in the care home at the moment.
Yeah, I think
if we get COVID, we still get paid to be off.
Partnerships of this program. Half the crew is international. Sultan being the first UAE astronaut to launch on a U.S. vehicle from the U.S. trained at Johnson Space Center.
I'm trying to find
an amazing, completion
the
of a partnership that started several years ago.
Camera on the booster. I still to this day cannot find it.
NASA and space exploration being just this great unifier for the world, especially
obviously that's
we look beyond that to Artemis and
the end of the second stage there. That's the booster.
Work to do such hard things,
so it's got to be on one of these corner bits here.
And the partnership of those nations rises above all else, and that's it's impressive.
Oh wow, that's a good shot.
Crews in space with their international backgrounds.
So that venting. So we talked about there's 2 things happening.
Dragon SpaceX F9 is proceeding with prop load. We're tracking no issues with Dragon or F9 going into launch.
SpaceX Dragon copy.
Update from the core that's on track. So we talked about the condensation a few times, and there's also the venting. So 2 different processes. The condensation is the super chilled fuel cooling the metal and the skin around it. The venting is because it's super cold as it heats up on the inside just from the air temperature, essentially working its way in there, it vents, and so that's just like a pot boiling, and just like you would, lift the lid off a tea kettle to let the pressure out. This is the same thing you're seeing happen there, so that's what's happening kind of from the middle of the screen.
Yeah, and on a calm night like tonight, the winds have totally died down. You can see it as it cascades down.
Yeah,
like
you
a
can actually
waterfall
see,
coming off, the middle
like
of
here.
Strong back there. Want to make a quick
It
note
looks
about
really
the
cool.
radio and how you can hear if you're on local amateur radio and the VHF radio
No
frequency
way.
going into 146.940 megahertz and UHF radio frequency 444.925 megahertz
Okay,
on the FM
when I'm in
series
Florida,
all around the
Stage 2
space
box
coast.
load has started.
because UHF should reach to where my
There goes
hotel
our
is.
Stage 2 LOX load
So I'm definitely going to listen to that.
on a beautiful night on the coast of Central Florida.
Oh man, I just want to be back in Florida. One of my
For stage
memories last night
That's gonna
on
continue to
Facebook
load.
was
We'll see that go all the way
2020,
to 6 minutes.
March 1st. I landed
terms
in
of,
Florida. Oh, I've just seen the
RP1
temperature
load.
drop down to -1
In terms of
outside.
LOX, that will
Oh.
continue until about T-minus
Right, I'm going to have a
3
look at my
minutes
memories today
on the
because
liquid oxygen
honestly,
side. A lot more volume, of course. in
what
the
did I do
stage.
the first day we got there? Swimming pool.
Hey, let's throw up a quick social
Oh, we
media
went
question. What do you say,
to
Raj?
the
Sounds good.
Florida Mall
At
and checked
JSC
out a
Garrett
Tesla Model S and Model
asks,
3.
I am 9 years old and want to know if you can see airplanes on the ISS. I have never heard that question.
So actually, Megan MacArthur had a cool post where she took a picture of the ground and you can see the contrails of a plane. So you can't see a plane if it's not what we call conning, meaning contrails.
Man, I look
If you
happy.
can find the contrails, then you can follow it back to find the plane, but it's super hard to find an actual plane that's not in the contrails.
Oh.
We also spent some time on Crew 3 trying to see who could one-up each other to find ships. So you can cheat
Nice.
and look around the Panama Canal to see if you can find ships there, but you need binoculars to help yourself. But if you know where to look,
Oh, I
around
had
ship
Denny's
sites,
for
you can usually find
breakfast.
some ships, and then airplanes.
Oh.
You look around, like the places like over the Atlantic where you can look for contrails and find planes. But absolutely, you can see them.
What a great answer. Didn't know that. Thank you, Raj. Let's head out to Kate Tice now.
Oh man.
Thanks, Daryl. Everything's still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon Endeavour just under 15 minutes from now. Now, for those just tuning in, Falcon 9 began propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes. Around T-minus 20 minutes, Falcon 9 completed loading of RP1 fuel on the second stage. Fuel loading on the first stage remains underway.
Man, I just want to be back in
and
Florida.
It is approximately 80% full. It will finish around T-minus 6 minutes. Falcon 9 is also underway with loading of densified liquid oxygen, and that will wrap up at T-minus 3 minutes for the first stage and T-minus 2 minutes for the second stage. Coming up, we'll perform checkouts of the thrust vector controllers, a procedure called TVC wiggles. We'll command Falcon 9 to activate those thrust vector controllers and actually wiggle the engines a couple degrees. This verifies that those engines will be able to move while in flight, which is how Falcon 9 steers itself during the ascent phase.
Oh wow.
Dragon mission director and team reporting no issues. Communication checkouts are complete, the crew access arm is retracted, and the launch escape system is armed.
7 years
And
ago,
as you
I
can
had
see there, on the right-hand side of your screen, the crew is strapped in and
EHO
ready to go to space.
turned up
Everybody looks pretty calm
at my
and
previous
chill,
job,
you know,
and
given
we
that
got
they
a
are
lovely
going to
5
space
stars.
in 13 minutes.
That's
Final
pretty cool.
instructions to the crew will come at T-minus 10 minutes. The crew displays will be configured for launch, which give the crew insight into how the launch is proceeding and provides constant updates on vehicle health.
8
At
years ago, I
T-minus
had
5
4
minutes, we'll then
McFlurries
hear
in a
terminal
row.
count,
Why
and
did I
Dragon
have
will
4
transition to
McFlurries?
internal power. We'll hear continued status callouts from SpaceX Mission Control as we get closer to liftoff. The range is go. All secured air and sea space remain clear. And as you can see, weather remains gorgeous, and everything still remains inbound for the launch criteria. So all in all, Falcon 9 and Dragon Endeavour, all systems remain go for launch in just 12 minutes and 34 seconds.
Damn, we're finally getting there. Oh, so we've got
All right,
more
thank you very much,
votes.
Kate, and take a look at this picture.
Damn.
For their Flight Crew 6 got a picture
Quite a
of
few
it.
people were
It's
saying-
supposed to be their booster. It was swapped out for a brand new booster, but anytime you get that close to the hardware, it's a cool thing. Brand new booster launching tonight. And at the time Falcon 9 and Dragon launches, The International Space Station, which is being tracked right here by Mission Control.
Ow, my
The
knee just clicked.
260 statute miles over the Bristol Channel, southwest of Cardiff, Wales.
Yep. So literally, it's coming over
Once they get off the ground, we'll
over the top of me, so I should be able to see the deorbit burn at 5:55. So at 5:55, I'm going out there. I'm going on the roof of the shed, and I'm going to see if I can see it. I'll take my phone out with me.
At 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, what's this? EastEnders. Oh, EastEnders spoilers and news.
So,
get ready to lift off.
Yeah, so right here, they'll probably say some thank yous to the ground.
Molly Rainford is joining the cast of EastEnders as a daughter of a new family set to take over the Queen Vic. Wow.
They monitor anything that would how the performance is doing in the center display. They'll bring up the event details that show the launch, and you'll see them put their hands down once they get closer to launch, and they'll have this display up so they can basically watch. They'll have everything configured, and that's what they talk about, configuring for launch so that you don't have to touch it during the launch itself.
Colonel Chari putting us in the seat of the astronauts with exactly what they're doing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And one more thing I want to say. I don't know, Raja. I have a feeling there's love in the air. Not going to give it away, but it just feels like there's love here. You got to stay tuned to find out more about that.
That's actually quite.
Gary and Kate at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Take us through.
I can't believe people are saying. So 3 people are saying that it will go boom.
Thanks, Daryl. That's right. We're exactly.
I love your optimism.
T-minus 10.5 minutes until liftoff of Crew 6. As you can see there on your screen, Falcon 9 is underway with propellant loading, as indicated by those white clouds forming around the vehicle. The fuel loading is complete on the second stage. LOX load remains underway. It's about 40% full on the second stage.
Damn.
LOX load also underway.
SpaceX confirmed crew displays configured for launch.
Okay.
SpaceX Dragon crew displays are configured for launch.
Nice. That's what we like to
Hi,
hear.
Steve. And once again, on behalf of the entire SpaceX team, we're honored to have you aboard Dragon Capsule Endeavour on its next trip to the International Space Station. We wish you a great mission, good luck, Godspeed, and enjoy the ride.
That's nice.
Thanks again to everyone out there who made the vehicle, the ISS, our mission, and our crew ready for launch. Really want to thank everyone. Appreciate the great call, much appreciated call for the scrub the other night. Great.
Yeah.
Good learning opportunity for the crew, and I think for the teams. And so, once more to the breach, dear friends, Crew 6 is ready to launch.
Nice. We're ready to launch. Woohoo. Come on, guys. I want to see no on our poll. Overtake yes. Because it can't go boom. Like in SpaceX.
SpaceX Mission Control, which a live view there on your screen. As you can tell by perhaps the ambient noise around me, the energy is starting to grow in anticipation for launch, coming up about 8.5 minutes from now.
Nice.
That's right. The energy is high here, Kate. At that T-minus 10-minute mark, we heard the good luck and Godspeed from the teams here in Mission Control in Hawthorne.
What I love is they've still got the at the back of here. They've got the zip lines that they used to use for emergency debarking.
Right now, continuing to fill with oxidizer. It'll be the last of the tanks.
Actually, I'm going to turn my left leg is very warm now.
10-minute mark, you heard that call.
So I want to actually warm my right leg up. I can't move.
At the T-minus 10-minute mark,
I can't move my heater round. So I'm going to sit like this for a moment.
Past that milestone.
I can't believe it's what 19 degrees now in this shed. So 63 degrees for you Americans. I'm in a home-built shed, sat in my garden, and it is -1 outside right now. So this little heat is actually doing quite well. It was only like 20 quid.
Basically helps prepare the hardware from a thermal standpoint,
it's nice and
or
warm,
a temperature
actually.
standpoint, for that full flow of super chilled liquid oxygen. So we basically open up the pre-valves, and a little bit of that locks, flows in, and helps cool the hardware down in preparation for full flow of
Oh,
liftoff.
will you? I'm trying to kick the heater into the right position.
Engine chill has started.
Engine chill has started. Yeah.
And
Hey.
as expected, there's that call out for that engine chill, indicating the pre-valves are open. And
Actually, I've
the engines
noticed
are beginning to
my
prepare
lens
for
hasn't
liftoff.
fogged up today.
Now under
That's actually a bit
6
weird.
minutes, 45 seconds from launch.
Normally that's a typical
Again,
stream
we're
thing. I have
continuing
to
fuel
take my
the
lens off,
Falcon
lick
9
the
rocket.
lens on the
Stage two
inside.
filled with the RP1 kerosene. At the T-minus 6 minute mark, we should hear a call out that the stage 1 RP load is complete. They're just topping that off. Liquid oxygen on both the first and second stages come next.
RP1 load complete.
So
There's
I've
that
officially
confirmation.
warmed up 10 degrees.
We're counting down to
in
T-minus
here.
5 minutes at this point. At T-minus 5, the Dragon is configured for terminal count. And at terminal count, Dragon is switched to internal power. Right now receiving power from umbilical lines from the ground.
Nice.
Also at just under 5 minutes, we'll be waiting for strong back retract. The arm that's currently propping the Falcon 9 and Dragon up. We'll see the clamp arm start to open, and the strong back itself will tilt about 2 degrees off from where it is now at a 90-degree position. Just a little off, and then it'll get out of the way completely upon liftoff. Then, of course, comes the, after the strong back retracts, comes the completion of liquid oxygen loading on both the first and second stage.
Can you imagine
For
just
now,
sitting there?
T-minus 5 minutes,
So you're
15
laying back.
seconds. We're going to stand by for that call. of
You're laying back
configuring
like
for
this.
Terminal count.
And you're just
6
waiting.
in their seated positions and
You're
ready
just
for
waiting
launch.
for it. You can't even like swing your chair like this. You're sat there
Dragon
like,
isn't configured for terminal count.
okay, we're going up that way.
Tanks are pressurizing for strong back
Oh,
retract.
I can't reach the. There you go.
All right, and we heard both of those calls. Dragon onboard computers are going to take
I'd love just
control
to
of
sit
the
in
vehicle.
one.
Should be seeing the clamp arm at the very top of the second stage, right underneath where you see the unpressurized trunk of Dragon, which is indicated by the half black and half white indicators, the black being the solar panels that provide power to the
Strong back
Dragon
is retracted.
on its transit to the International Space
That's
Station.
pretty cool.
At that confirmation of strong back retract, we should be able to visually see that strong back.
Strong back will retract about 2 degrees away from the vehicle. Then at liftoff, the strong back will actually go back to 45 degrees. That
That is
strong
pretty
back
cool.
is part of the transporter erector, which provides the liquids and gases and
I'm trying to
electrical
see, is it
connections to the vehicle.
Bright outside yet? I don't think it is.
As Gary
Because the
pointed out,
sun
those
should
clamp
start
arms
coming up soon for
opened
me.
up underneath the trunk, just above the first stage. And you can see that
I think this
action
is like the
happening now
first
as that initial
early
retraction
morning
just a
live stream
couple
I've
degrees
actually
away
done.
from the vehicle.
So normally most of my live streams are late at night. I don't do getting up
At
early
this point
normally.
in time, fueling remains underway. Excuse me, propellant load remains underway. All fuels are loaded. That RP1 liquid oxygen load should.
Stage 1, lock flow complete.
There we just heard
Stage
that
1,
call out.
lock
That
load
is
complete.
all done. Second stage lock load still underway. That will wrap up at about T-minus 2 minutes.
Nice. We are still
Now that that
at
first stage
60% saying yes.
Load is complete.
Come on,
We'll
guys,
see,
hit the no
some
button.
more of that
I want to
white
see
gaseous cloud
the no
forming
race
around
back
the
up.
vehicle, due to
'Cause it can't
those
blow up.
lines being
Dragon is
closed
in
off.
terminal count and on internal power.
All right, good call out there indicating that Dragon is
right.
running on
Yes.
its
So
own
before
power.
the
We are
launch,
in the
just want to say
terminal
thank you
count
for joining
now
me.
at T-minus 2 minutes and
Don't
29
forget to hit the
seconds.
like button, and don't forget to subscribe. We are doing
Crew
really
remains
well so far
comfortable
with
there on the
subscriptions.
right-hand
So
side of your screen.
thank you very much. Yeah, it's
About 15 seconds remaining.
we are
in
close to this
stage 2
rocket
launch
launch. I cannot wait. I'm literally at a 5:54 I'm going to run out there and I'm going to see if I can see the deorbit band. I'll take my phone with me. I'll see if I can capture it. And hopefully I'll be able to chuck that on the computer. So you guys, oh, here we go. So we got 50%. Yes, look at that. Oh, brilliant. Awesome. So now we're on a 50-50. So 1 minute, T-minus 1 minute, I'm going to end the poll.
9, fully fueled with RP1, rocket fuel as
Oh
well
man,
as
that's
the
quite
liquid
funny.
oxygen.
Dead on
That call of Dragon is
50%.
an auto-idle. There's going to be a series of calls.
Started. Expect life.
Hey Rachel! Hello Rachel! Yes, kaboom, yes. Well, we hope no kaboom, but we kind of do hope kaboom in some ways. We want to see a rocket explode, but also want the crew to be safe, so...
The Dragon flight computers are configured for launch.
Oh.
The flight termination system will allow Falcon 9 to talk to Dragon on the ride uphill. Terminate the flight.
Okay, for a second then it said...
Dragon is in countdown.
Oh, there we go, Dragon is countdown. Right.
Dragon is in countdown.
So I'm going to turn
good for launch.
my voice down, and we're going to watch this. Oh, I'm sitting right in front of the actual official countdown.
Dragon,
Right.
SpaceX, go for launch.
Here we go, everyone. This rocket is about to take off.
Go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 30 seconds and counting. All teams pulled go.
Come on, baby, light this candle.
15 seconds.
Woo.
Ready for an on-time launch for the
T-minus
instantaneous
10, 9, 8,
7, 6,
6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
engines full power.
Yes, look at that.
Go Dragon, go Falcon.
She's gone. She is going. So that there is the Starship Tower.
International Space Station. Vehicles pitching downrange. 1.7
Damn.
pounds of thrust provided by the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Hearing good calls. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
She's going for it. Oh, nice.
We're now at T plus 34 seconds into the 6th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Stage 1 throttle down.
So there we heard the call out indicating that the first stage engines will begin to throttle down in preparation for max Q, which is the moment
That
of
is
maximum aerodynamic pressure that
damn
the
cool.
vehicle will experience during flight.
Vehicle is supersonic.
So remember, at any time
They're indicating the
there's a
vehicle's
problem,
traveling
they
faster
can
than speed
literally
sound.
just eject the capsule.
Stage 1 throttle on.
All right, now that we're past max Q,
Nice.
Copy 1 Bravo.
That 1 Bravo indicator are different abort modes that are called that allow the ground teams and
Very
the crew
cool.
to track about the position of the Falcon 9 and the Dragon as they make their way up the eastern seaboard. In the event of an abort, these different abort modes would indicate about the position where Dragon
Look at
would
the
land,
colour of the flame.
as well as
Oh, that is
indicate what
gorgeous.
series of maneuvers Dragon would indicate. But so far, we're hearing good calls on the performance of the Falcon 9 on its ride uphill.
So if I was
1
at
minute,
my
53 seconds
hotel
in.
right now, I'd see this. Like, I cannot wait to go next because I will be live streaming from my hotel.
we're
Oh,
about 30 seconds away from main engine
the hell was
cutoff,
that? Oh, look at that
which
exhaust
will be
plume.
followed quickly by stage separation
That
and
is-
second engine start.
It's
which is
just
the
so
ignition of
cool.
that and back engine on the second stage.
Right, we can't really see much today because the sun is actually the opposite side. It's that
Now
side
about 10
for
seconds
once.
away from main engine cutoff.
There we go. Stage separation. Oh no, you wait. You're gonna wait for Miko.
2 Alpha.
Copy 2 Alpha.
separation confirmed.
Oh yeah, there you go. There's Florida.
There you can see, on
You
your
can see
screen
Florida
confirmation
in the
of stage
background.
separation. as well as ignition of that second stage engine.
Oh, look at that. So the booster here on the
Second
left.
stage is now
You can
carrying
see
Crew 6
the
astronauts to orbit.
booster is
Beautiful
actually
view there on the
flying
left-hand side of your
through
screen coming from
the
first stage,
trail of the second
which, as you
stage.
can see, is still gaining in altitude. It has not yet reached its apogee. A
Yeah, it
beautiful
goes
view
up to
of
like
the Florida Space Coast there
130
in the
kilometers,
background.
something like that.
Meanwhile, we're tracking good performance on that MVAC engine. On the screen to your right, we'll be hearing periodic performance calls about once every minute with the status of the trajectory of the second stage and the Crew 6 astronauts.
150?
Inside Crew
Is it going
Dragon
to
Endeavour.
150?
We'll also be hearing call-outs.
I'm trying. Oh,
Just like you
Bermuda.
heard just there, as we pass over the various ground stations along the ascent
Yeah, you
track.
might hear it being received at Okanger.
There's that performance call-out.
Dragon acknowledges nominal trajectory.
Nominal trajectory. That's really
I see
good.
the first stage there on the left-hand side of your screen. That first stage still gaining in altitude, although that gain is slowing down. It will be making its way back down to Earth, landing, attempting a landing on our drone ship.
How is it
Instructions, which is located off the
How is it
Florida coast
gaining
by a couple hundred miles.
speed? That is actually quite confusing. Why is it gaining speed as it's going up? Because the engine's not lit. Sure.
The
Oh no,
engine on stage
that's
2
the.
burns for 6 minutes after second stage.
We're looking at
ignition.
the second stage
Continue to
telemetry.
see
That's why.
This engine burn until about 8.5 minutes.
I was thinking that was
into
the
today's
first
flight.
stage. So ignore me.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
I'm playing Skyrim at the moment, and this shows up. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, it is quite interesting. It's definitely a
Flight
big
teams
passion of
continuing
mine,
to
the
track
rockets.
Falcon 9
So,
and its ascent. Everything's looking good so far. You'll also continue to hear those check-ins of the ground stations as we pass them.
and just to think, I've watched 4 of these launch
At
from
this
my
point
hotel in
time,
Florida.
We're roughly 2 minutes away from the next major event, which will be the entry burn for the first stage.
This part's the more
We
exciting
will
part,
reload
Rachel. You'll
3
love this.
engines, 3 M1D engines on that first stage.
They're about to
Help slow
land
the
a
vehicle down,
4-story
as it
building
re-enters the Earth's
on
atmosphere.
basically a football pitch-sized ship
We're
in the
approaching
ocean.
200 kilometers in altitude. It's about
That is mad.
124 miles. While velocity,
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
good trajectory calls. About to pass 12,000 kilometers per hour.
SpaceX Dragon acknowledges nominal trajectory.
So they're going to
About
aim for this number to
7,500
be
miles per hour.
17,500 and whatever miles, kilometers an hour. I can never convert miles and kilometers and stuff. Well, my shed is officially 20 degrees, and actually the outside
Everything
temperature's
looking
gone up to
nominal for both
0
first
degrees.
and second stages. Now
Nice.
coming up to T plus 6.5 minutes into flight.
Oh man.
Mostly what we're hearing now are the performance calls in the second stage. In about a minute is when we'll see a series of events in rapid succession. It's been a pretty good pace since second stage ignition.
Nice.
About less than a minute from now, we'll start to see
Dragon,
more action on the
SpaceX,
first stage.
Nominal trajectory.
That is too early for me.
Nominal trajectory.
Right, so it's 41. So at
As
54
Gary mentioned, those
54
calls
minutes
occurring
past,
about once every
I
minute.
have to run outside and see if I can
Now we're
catch
about 20
the
seconds away
deorbit
from
burn.
the first stage entry burn. That burn will last about 30 seconds and help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 1
Oh, here we go.
And there you can see
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
on your screen that first stage entry burn has begun. That booster sees high drag, which actually scrubs roughly 70% of the velocity by the time
Wow.
that the landing burn begins.
So it'll lose
About another 10
70% of its
seconds
speed.
this entry burn.
I'm quite shocked they're not doing the
Again,
two
3 engines, 3 lit,
telemetries
center,
today.
and 2 radial engines.
Oh, and it
And
goes dark.
conclusion of that entry burn.
Meanwhile, good performance on the second stage. Since second
I've
stage
never
ignition, we've
noticed
been in
that
2
green-
alpha abort mode.
green
Next
bit
abort
there.
modes will happen in rapid succession to Bravo, to Charlie, Delta,
Terminal
and Echo.
guidance.
Each indicating different series of maneuvers in the event of an abort scenario, but as you've been hearing through the periodic checks, we're seeing good trajectory, good performance on the Dragon and Falcon 9.
Nice. Nice,
Seco,
nice, nice.
second stage engine cutoff would be coming at 8 minutes 48 seconds. Coming up on that event.
SpaceX Dragon Shannon.
Shannon.
Copy, Shannon.
Now off
Shannon.
the coast of Shannon, Ireland. Standing by for Seco.
Oh,
MVAC shutdown.
there we go.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Oh, here we go. We
And there
should.
we heard the call out indicating that landing burn.
Dragon, SpaceX. We have a nominal orbit insertion.
Oh, there's the drone ship.
Great news there for
SpaceX Dragon copies nominal orbital insertion.
Here it comes. Look how bright it literally
for
lights
Dragon
up.
Endeavour,
Stage 1 landing leg deployed.
Oh, a little bit. Oh, come on.
attempting to land on our drone ship. Just
Look at
gave the
that.
instructions.
See, look, that the rocket like instantly turned off that time.
On your screen, and also indicated by the cheers behind me.
Nice.
Successful landing of this booster. Its first trip to space, and therefore its first landing.
I don't
And
understand what
round of
this
applause
is.
Here at SpaceX Mission Control. And of course, after second stage engine cutoff,
Look at that.
you heard that call.
That's
that the
mental.
crew is in orbit. They're now in a coast phase. The second stage remains idle for about 3 minutes before Dragon separates from the second stage. Meanwhile, you can see that first stage in the legs right on target.
Here we go.
We're now
So
getting
we should
views
see.
from the second stage. You can see this is one of the cameras that's pointing up into the trunk of Dragon.
The trunk.
Of course, we're continuing to get views of the expansion nozzle at the end of the MVAC engine.
Come on, show us the trunk.
The crew is in orbit. Falcon 9 has almost done its job. It completed its job with propelling the astronauts through the 6 minutes of the second stage, and of course, the more than 2.5 minutes of the first stage. Continuing in this coast period. We're heading to about the 12-minute mark after launch. So we're
Nice.
approaching 11 minutes right now. But it's great to see the crew in orbit. Of course, we are waiting for that separation. You can see this view right here of the MVAC engine. The second stage really in just an idle position, really just coasting, not many commands being issued from the Falcon 9. But of course, at the very end, we'll actually issue the command for separating the Dragon from the Falcon 9. You'll see a series, you may see a series of burns. The Draco engines on the service section of the Draco will fire and increase separation distance from the second stage.
Yeah, because it's not much of a push with these.
Once again, live view
Stage
there
separation.
from the second stage, looking up into the trunk, which of course is the unpressurized section.
Is that blue
that
cable ties?
goes along with the Dragon capsule.
I got some blue cable
to the
ties.
International Space Station. That's where we are able to store basically cargo that is able to be exposed to the vacuum of space. So a great
Nice.
view there, looking up into the trunk. That will be hopefully the first views that we get of that separation event, which we are expecting here any second.
I gotta think of where. Oh, there you go. There's separation.
There you can see on your screen confirmation
Dragon's
All the
separation confirmed.
dust and bits that are coming
of
out.
that separation confirmed.
Nice.
Dragon Endeavour is now floating free in space.
That's right, the Falcon 9.
There's always that one idiot
Here.
that claps.
Welcome to orbit. Congratulations. Your flight is exactly 4 years after the flight of the Demo 1 mission. Like Andre said, all the best things take 2 tries. Happy that we could get you off tonight. If you enjoyed your ride, please don't forget to give us 5 stars. Or to LD for some words.
Also, a friendly reminder to put your sushi orders in for CRS-27. Have a safe ride to the space station, and we look forward to seeing you when you get home.
Yeah,
Thank
we've
you for
got
flying SpaceX.
crew resupply mission
Record losses in Bermuda.
come up in
And SpaceX Dragon copies all. That was fantastic. Thank
a
you.
week and a bit, I think it is. I believe. Oh, look at the little
The Crew
zero
6
G
astronauts, of course,
zero
having a
G
strong bond.
indicator. That's kind of cute.
And SpaceX Dragon, we'd like to really for the great ride to orbit today.
Right
It's
then.
greatly appreciated. May have taken 2 rides, but two times, but it was worth the trip. And I guess I'll pass it over to Woody for some words.
Yeah, SpaceX
Trying to
Dragon,
think.
just want to say as a rookie flyer, that was one heck of a ride. Thank you. I would say there's an absolute miracle of engineering, and I just feel so lucky that I get to fly on this amazing machine. Thanks to SpaceX, thanks to NASA, Commercial Crew Program, and our international partners. A lot of innovation went into this, tireless work out there, and a lot of painstaking attention to detail and focus on testing. And I think that's what makes it all possible to fly humans in space. Thank you.
Where is it? I'm trying to find the.
Some really nice words.
Всем ребят, большое за подготовку, за то, что помогали в этом деле.
I'm trying to find the.
Я хочу сказать, что сегодня человечество
Oh,
будет
actually, what's this?
в подготовке к новому большому скачку. Для меня огромная честь быть частью такой большой и дружной семьи.
Okay, so in
Международной команды, как Международной космической станции. Работая вместе на благо всего человечества.
CRS is in 1 week, 2 days. So the 12th of March at 1:36 a.m. I can do that one.
Honor to be part of such a big and friendly family and the greatest international team of the ISS, working together for all mankind. Thank you.
Nice. So I'm trying to find.
Well said, everybody. Allow me to say a few words in Arabic first. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وصلنا الفضاء. بس بغيت أشكر أمي وأبوي وأشكر عائلتي. شكرا للقيادة الرشيدة وشكرا لمركز محمد بن راشد للفضاء اللي أعطوني الثقة هذه. وكذلك أشكر كل من جهزنا ودربنا لهذه اللحظة التاريخية من مختلف وكالات الفضاء في أنحاء العالم. شكرا لكم جزيلا. شكرا SpaceX لإيصالنا للفضاء. I would like to say thank you for everybody. Thanks to my parents,
Right,
my family,
I should be able to.
thanks to our leadership,
I know
the
roughly where
Mohammed
to
bin Rashid
look.
Space Center for their trust. Thank you for everybody who trained us and got us ready for this mission. This is incredible. Launch was incredible, amazing. Thank you so much. And last but not least, thank you NASA. Thank you SpaceX for flying us to space. Go Dragon, go SpaceX. And
Go
allow me
Dragon,
to
go
introduce
SpaceX.
Our 5th crew member. His name is Suhail, and Suhail is the Arabic name for the star Canopus. And in the Middle East, we anticipate the
Nice.
appearance of Canopus because it marks the end of summer and the beginning of cool time. And Canopus is actually the second brightest star in the night sky. And
Oh,
this is
wow,
the second
okay.
flight for Suhail because it flew with astronaut Hazar Mansour in 2019. And many people think Suhail is an alien, but to me, on Earth in a spacesuit, but with high ambitions. Thank you once again, and talk to you from the ISS.
Oh, that's quite good actually. Fair play.
In Dragon SpaceX, we copy all those words. At this time, I can provide you an update that we had nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts. For your awareness, on hard capture hook 5, we did swap to backup motors, so you'll see that the Nose cone opening did swap to backup. However, all hooks did indicate that they were traveling and looked good on backup.
Oh, dang. So the primary motors may have got stuck. Right, in a minute, I'm going outside. So I will disappear for a second. But hopefully I should be able to see the deorbit burn of the second stage.
All right. Very dynamic
In fact,
time.
I'm going to go right
Of
now.
course,
I shall see you
Falcon 9
guys
delivering
in a
the
second. I'll
Crew
be
6
right back.
astronauts into orbit after the 9-minute ascent.
You might be able to
We
actually
heard
hear
those
me go,
great
wow.
congratulatory words from each and every member of Crew 6, who of course had a strong bond with the teams here in Mission Control and SpaceX. That call you did here to the crew was about the nose cone. The nose cone is deploying now. They were troubleshooting an issue with one of the hooks, but switched to backup motors, and we're seeing that nose cone deploy now. But Crew 6 is now on its way to the International Space Station. It's going to take about 24 and a half hours. So they'll go through a series of checks, a series of initial burns, and then eventually have a sleep period before waking up and really getting into the action with a lot of the burns that bring it closer and closer to the International Space Station. It'll be docking to the Zenith port. We're now getting views from the Dragon, and that's the nose cone deploying that you're seeing right now on the end of the Dragon. And Kate, this really sets the crew up for some of the major burns here. That nose cone deploying reveals the 4 forward bulkhead Dracos that do a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of those significant burns that bring the crew closer to the International Space Station.
That's right. The nose cone is basically the pointy end at the top of Dragon. So now with that being exposed, those forward bulkhead thrusters will be able to do their job as Dragon Endeavour makes its way to the International Space Station. Just prior to losing the ground station coverage, we were able to catch a quick glimpse of the 0G indicator. I always love seeing that be revealed as it's always different for each crew and it's always special to the crew members. So I love the words that were shared around that. And I personally have a strong connection to this capsule. This was the Demo 2 capsule, the Crew 2 capsule, the Axiom 1 capsule, and now the Crew 6 capsule. And so it always brings a lot of pride and joy to see this particular capsule fly in space safely once again. So with all that being said, let's head back over to Daryl and Raja, who saw all of the liftoff action live. You guys, I bet it was incredible having seen it from the press site myself a couple of times. I know you can feel it. Tell us how it was to see this crew lift off.
Absolutely, Kate, and thank you for the toss back here to the Kennedy Space Center. And on that point, we got to get Raj's reaction first because it was his first launch. He's been on a rocket. He's been to space.
See the outside.
First time watching a launch.
Yeah, that was awesome, Daryl. It was better than I expected. So I think a much more throaty, rumbling sound once it started to pitch over, and a beautiful night here, so we could see the second stage light. We could actually see the throttle down for from stage 1 to stage B, which was really cool. Saw the separation, saw the light go out when the first stage separated, saw the second stage light, and got to watch it pretty much all the way to 2 Bravo. It was pretty impressive.
To 2 Bravo.
Yeah. Sorry, those are different launch escape phases. So yeah, it was awesome seeing it from the ground and just kind of thinking through what that ride was like a while ago. But I'd rather be on the inside than the outside. But it's pretty
in here with us.
But it's pretty impressive from both views. Yeah,
we're so glad
to
that
see
we
them.
could
Exciting that they're on the way to the space station. So happy for them.
No doubt. Congratulations to not only the crew that is getting up into space, but also everyone who helped make it possible. It takes a tremendous number of people in order to pull that off. And that roar, right? And did you feel it in your chest?
Yeah, so on the day of, you can hear it, you can feel it there and you can feel it here. You'd actually feel the vibration and actually bodily, it's actually vibrating your body, the ground around you. And I think just the coolness of it, it's almost daytime around the launch pad when it first lit, just with the humidity, the temperature dew point spread right now. There's a lot of moisture in the air, so just the reflection of the light, you actually couldn't even see the top of the rocket. It was the plume lit up the whole horizon. So basically, as far as you could see, 180 degrees here, it just looked like daylight for the first about 20 seconds. So it was really, really cool.
Well, your first launch, watching.
Yep, I'll be back again. Yeah, we're ready to see another one.
We love it. Fantastic. All right. As I mentioned before, we got to the terminal count and ascent. Said there was a little bit of love in the air, right? Well, why is that? Well, a gentleman by the name of
Oh my
Sabih
God,
Farouk
guys.
brought his girlfriend.
I
to
actually
Banana
saw
Creek
it.
Launch viewing location.
I actually just
and
witnessed
proposed to her
the second
right
stage
as
deorbit.
They're both from Denver.
That is
We have a picture.
mental.
There it is. There's Sabih and his girlfriend.
I've literally
and now
just
fiancé,
witnessed the second stage deorbit.
Tamori, and she's
That
circling
is
the ring.
mental.
Congratulations to them. What a special thing to do. He had planned out this because during their when they first met, they had their first kiss at a rocket launch, and so he wanted to bring her back to propose, and it happened right here at the NASA Kennedy Space Center. What a neat love story, huh?
Yeah, what a great story. Yeah.
Congratulations to both of them. So now let's turn it over to Jasmine, who is with a special guest.
I'm just uploading it to Facebook quick. That is
Thank
mental.
you
I've
so
just
much.
seen.
Here on the balcony of OSB
I have just seen the deorbit burn
erupted in cheers. It lit up the night sky. Joining us
of
now
the
is
second
Kennedy
stage.
Space
That's mad.
Center Director Kelvin Manning. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, it's great to be here, Jasmine.
We are so glad to have you. And Kelvin, first question is easy. What did you think of launch?
It was spectacular, and anytime we're putting people
I still
in the
can't believe
rocket,
that.
makes it even more
I was looking
special.
around
So
and I just
we
see
launched
it,
satellites,
and
we
it's
have all
going
kinds
like
of
this. It
things,
just
but
goes
tonight it was
vroom,
Woody,
like that. It was
Sultan,
travelling
and
so
Andre,
fast.
watching
Right,
them
I
walk
gotta.
out, saying goodbye to their families, and for us to get them off safely onto the International Space Station, that's a huge accomplishment.
It really is a huge accomplishment. Daryl just mentioned love in the air, and we saw that great proposal at Banana Creek. And Commercial Crew is really the perfect marriage of our commercial and our international partners. Isn't that right, Kelvin?
Absolutely. So government, industry, and international partners, it's kind of like a modern day, what we strive to have like Star Trek. We have all these people from different planets, and we're just getting started here. So maybe one day we'll have people from other planets as well.
We really are just kicking things off. And you mentioned, that the astronauts flying on today's mission, and that you've actually been on the selection panel for a few of the astronaut classes before.
Okay, this heat is starting to smell like it's burning.
To get to see Woody fly
It's
today, right?
21 degrees in here.
Special guy, and really looking forward to seeing him on orbit and then getting him back home and hearing his stories.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having him back, as well as the rest of Crew 6. And this was really a great way to kick off the launches of 2023.
Right.
I mentioned earlier with Janet Petro that we are looking at over 90 launches this year. So what else is going
Why
to
can't I
in the
just-
next few months?
Okay, we got a cargo resupply mission, CRS-27. We have Boeing's inaugural flight of the crew flight test. Looking for Sonny and Butch to sometime this spring to fly the CST-100.
Why can't I tag?
That's a huge deal. And
Eh,
we got
I can tag.
another commercial Axiom mission that'll go to the space station, and then we'll look at
Crew
seven to
6.
follow these guys in another 6 months. or so.
Hashtag
Wow, a lot
second
of work going on here at the Kennedy Space Center. Kelvin,
stage.
any final words of thanks that you want to give to the workforce here?
Yeah, it's all about the team, and this is America's space program. You talked about our industry partners, our other government partners, and our international partners. We have a lot to be proud of, and like we said, we're just getting started. So thank you, Jasmine.
Of course, and this really is the dream team. We appreciate you being here tonight, Kelvin.
Party.
All
I
right,
can't. I
Daryl,
literally. I
back to
cannot
you.
spell to save my life this
Jasmine,
early in the
see you're
morning.
Working the love in there with the CCP. Well done. Thank you very much. Well, the crew is on the way to the International Space Station. We did hear from the SpaceX team that the nose cone hooks at the top of the spacecraft, right? Yep. The Dragon, they went to the backup
Passing over the
motors in
UK.
order to release that nose cone. That's
It
pretty
is double
critical
S.
To make sure you get
I'm
that up.
losing my
Great
mind, I tell ya.
redundancy with the system there. But why is that so important that that nose cone comes off?
Yeah, so you can't dock to the space station without the nose cone. So as we
Right.
saw, just looking at the views of the capsule before liftoff, it's closed for aerodynamics because you don't want a door wide open while you.
Come on,
while you're
please
flying
show
through the
me.
air. Once you're in
I'm
space,
trying
of
to
course, there's no
find-
drag, so then you can open that up.
Obviously,
and,
I thought I
that
shared it.
exposes the camera and the sensors that allow the Dragon to dock to the
so-
International Space Station. There's a whole lot of stuff going on.
Let's
so
go
the crew was working the
Tim.
comms back out of the
What's his
ground
name?
and
Tim
monitoring a whole bunch of
Pete
systems.
Pike.
So we saw the
Pink.
separation
something like
They
that.
have
I'm sure
telemetry
he
that gives
shared
them
it.
information about that. And then the next step is the nose cone deploy. And as you heard
Okay,
before
maybe
mentioned,
he
all of
didn't
those
share
hooks,
it.
there's a dozen
Wow.
hooks. 6 of them are holding the
European
nose cone.
Space
There's-
Agency,
and basically
maybe?
Each of those hooks has backup and primary motors. So what you heard them describe is one of those went onto the backup
Cannot
motor
find
to
it
open
at
the
all.
hook, which is why we have
There was
backup
literally,
motors.
I'm pretty
Now
sure
with the nose cone open, they should be
that
good to
was
continue
what
to the
what it
space
was.
station.
It was either
And next thing they'll be talking about
because
is
it
phasing first,
disappeared
you know, how they have to catch
after
up.
like
I'm
a
sure there'll be teams
while.
looking at,
It
the data
disappeared.
from that to see if it was kind of like we talked about earlier in the broadcast. Was it actually a problem with the primary motor, or was it just bad telemetry?
okay.
So the ground has some ability to
Something
suss
space.
that out.
Let's
with
go
the extra data
SpaceX
they
group.
have. They can try resetting
See if
things.
it was
so my
that.
guess is when they go to actual docking, they may retry that.
I can't even remember,
primary motor to
literally,
see if it's working, and then they have the backup motor still
where I
that
saw. I
they'll
was
have to,
sure I
so
shared
they
it.
still have the redundancy, but they'll sort through maybe troubleshooting that some more. But I don't think it should affect the
So
follow-on.
those hooks are used when they dock.
Right, the same hooks. There's a soft capture and a hard capture, a hard hook
Right, it's not
system
the
that
SpaceX group.
attaches into the space station. But again,
Let's go the other SpaceX group, because I've got two SpaceX groups on Facebook. One
But
is
again, as
more
long as
like
the backup motor is
drama,
working, it should be fine.
and the other one is
All right, well, we will track it all along the way, and we know we saw visual confirmation of the nose cone coming off. Saw that right on the video with the cameras that SpaceX has, and so now Stephen,
There you go,
Woody,
let's see if
Sultan,
Trevor posted
and
it.
Andre are on course to arrive at the International Space Station around 1:17 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And of course, NASA
No.
TV will be wrapping up our coverage, but you can follow along with Crew 6's entire ride to the station and hear
NASA, let's have a
real-time
look.
audio
James
from
Webb, I
space
think
to
maybe it
ground
was on
our
James
Mission
Webb.
audio stream on
I
YouTube.
very much doubt
Just
it,
look
but
at the link on NASA social media accounts and in the description of the NASA
or maybe
YouTube
International
launch
Space Station. Let's
broadcast.
have a look, because this
And
is
though our
mainly.
coverage here at Kennedy Space Center is concluding, Crew 6's mission has only just begun. And you know it well, Roger, when you go up into
Man,
the
I wish I
International Space
knew. Oh,
Station,
NORAD.
you really enjoyed the ride getting
NORAD.
there, because that's when the work starts.
Exactly, yeah. So it's actually a really nice
Sure
period
it was
of
on
time here.
NORAD.
You got some time to look out the window, enjoy your time. You spent a lot of time in the sim, the
Right,
Dragon sim,
let's,
whether it's out of Hawthorne or the ones out in Houston. But it's nice to actually, now enjoy the ride and take it all in, especially for the three rookies. Get used to some space adaptation, moving around in microgravity before you get on the space station. Because as soon as you show up in the space station, man, it is busy. It is fun, but it is busy.
Time to get to work. Next up is our
Oh,
post-launch
man, I can't
news
find
conference
it.
scheduled for 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time on NASA TV.
Wow.
We'll have a live joint docking coverage of Crew 6. We'll have the welcome ceremony starting at 11 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. This will be on Thursday on NASA TV.
Oh,
as
wow,
well
Jenny's
as
got a lovely
SpaceX's
photo.
YouTube channel. And you can find mission updates on Twitter at NASA, at SpaceX, and on the web at nasa.gov, including that link. We'll have it in there in the description of the mission audio stream if you want to stick with Crew 6 during their entire journey to the space station. Well, before we want to sign off here at Kennedy, I want to thank Raja Chari for being on the launch broadcast and sharing your incredible experiences. I learned such an incredible amount. I hope our audience did too. You answered all their questions, and it was fascinating just to listen to all the things that happened. Really appreciate you.
Thanks. I'm glad I got a chance to see a rocket launch, and so yeah, I highly recommend coming here to do this. You can get a great view of a rocket launch. It's the way to go.
Great plug for the Kennedy Space Center there, Roger. We appreciate that, and good luck to you on your work with the HLS. You're doing a lot of work there with the human landing system for the Artemis program. People are really excited about that.
That is crazy. I'm shocked. I've actually just seen the second stage deorbit burn. That's mad.
Great time to be in space.
Congratulations on watching your first launch, and congratulations to the space lovebirds out there at the Kennedy Space Center who tied, or at least had the proposal and got a big yes. And then, of course, thanks to all of our guests for joining us today. We really appreciate you watching. You are why we do this, right?
Nice.
So here now are some highlights.
I'm
from
still
the
trying to
journey
find-
orbit off the Earth for the Earth. For Rajachari and everyone here at the NASA Kennedy Space Center, I'm Daryl
Surely
Mayo.
it's going to pop
Have a
up in my
great
news
night.
feed somewhere.
Keep looking up.
Right, guys. Well, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to quickly turn the sound off. So yes, thank you very much for joining me on this live stream this morning. Yeah, it was a really good rocket launch. I'm actually shocked I actually got to see the second stage deorbit burn, which is flipping mental. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Yeah, I'm Lee. Fly safe, land safer.